The Gauteng Department of Education is expected to state its arguments today at the North Gauteng High Court as the case against Hoerskool Overvaal continues. Proceedings ended yesterday after a whole day was spent arguing over the admissibility of affidavits that the department intends to submit, as well as the urgency of the case. The court granted that the case is urgent, however, submission of further affidavits was extended to this morning. The presiding judge, Bill Prinsloo, interrupted arguments, reminding both parties that everyone wants a result in this urgent application. Hoerskool Overvaal concluded arguments by asking the court to grant them the relief they are seeking, while the department requested a postponement. Well, here are the arguments put forth by both sides. Hoerskool Overvaal says only 17 classrooms are available and as such it cannot accommodate extra learners. Gauteng Education Department says there is proof that even after accommodating 55 learners, the school will not be filled to capacity. The school's governing body says it is not geared to be a dual medium school. Education officials say they have put the necessary resources, being English educators and learning material, in place so that extra pupils are not a burden to the school. Hoerskool Overvaal argues that the state cannot expect an Afrikaans-only school to admit pupils against its language policy. But Gauteng Education Department insists the language cannot be used as a tool to segregate learners. Hoerskool Overvaal says its language policy was rejected by the department on the basis of informal discussions. The Gauteng Education Department claims that they have consistently and constantly engaged with the SGB on the issue of taking English learners since the year 2016.
Now, you cannot expect the school, against its language policy, to receive and admit these learners. That act, administrative act, negates the language policy in an unlawful and an unprocedural and an unfair manner. There were discussions with the school towards the end of 2016, going on to 2017, about the language policy. Those discussions explicitly or impliedly indicated that the department itself, over and above this sector of the community, was no longer satisfied with the language policy. That is all that happened. The procedure that had to follow by the right power and authority in terms of Section 18A wasn't complied with.
The department is committed and procured furniture for those learners. The learning material is already available, has been procured. The educators for those learners have been sourced, and there is no way the department can place those learners in that school and abandon them and leave everything to the SGB. There is capacity over and above at that school. It will be a sad scenario that learners are refused access to the school.
Judge Prinsloo of North Gauteng High Court says that he wants to deliver judgment on the matter without delay, possibly by the end of today. With the schools set to reopen on Wednesday next week, here's what some parents and some learners had to say.
It's definitely not a racial issue, because here we've got white parents, black, coloured, Indian parents. We're all trying to get into the school, seeing that we're living a throw stone away from the school.
Why must we go to another suburb, drive early in the morning to take our kids there if we have a school right up the street from our house? There's kids as far as Paris traveling every day to Overvaal.
It's a really good school, and it's also walking distance from when we stay, so we can just walk to school, and there's a lot of sports there we can do.
The Constitution says that we should go to a school nearest to where we live. Overvaal is the nearest school to where I stay.
South Africa is first and foremost a black country. And the majority of citizens, including learners in this country, are black. Insisting on using Afrikaans as a medium of instruction is exclusionary in its nature, right? And looking at a country with the history of colonialism and apartheid and the symbolic meaning of insisting on educating, you know, natives of this country in a colonial language, a brutal language such as Afrikaans is very undermining and is very arrogant. I'm of the view that the government, and in particular the Gauteng Education Department, and by the way, I'm speaking from the perspective of being an educator myself, right, is totally in control. But now we are dealing with a clear case of racism, we are dealing with a clear case of arrogance, and the language policy is being used to try and cover up what they are trying to do and exclude as much learners as they can. They want to exclude our children and tell us about capacity. It's totally disrespectful. And I believe the office of Mr. Panyaza Lisufi must be very clear and direct with the school and tell them that you are going to accommodate these learners, whether you like it or not.
It appears as if now the school is trying to use the language policy to really exclude students. The department is arguing that, yes, let Afrikaans be there, but let us have a dual medium so that those English learners are catered for. So it appears as if now the school really wants to exclude those who are not fluent in Afrikaans, and we think that that goes against the spirit of the Constitution of the Republic, as well as the right to learn.
The school policy, the school constitution cannot supersede the constitution of the country, and they cannot even supersede the SASA itself. In this case, what needs to be corrected is to call the SGB. They come with their language policy and their school policy together with their school what's called policy. Then it be corrected, because only the NEC can say this policy can stand. Even the matter of taking it to court, I don't understand, but I don't want to go there. But I'm telling you that this school is in South Africa, governed by the South African Constitution, so they've got not even a single leg to can stand. What needs to happen is for the NEC to give instruction to them and say, as per the Constitution of the country, this school has to ensure that this is not becoming a tool to